So tonight you joined us because we're going to spend the night at the Lynn Drive-In Theater, and there's nobody better to talk about that than Rich Redding. The theater has been in his family for 4 generations, and he's going to give us a bit of the history before his family took possession, and we're going to have some nice memories and see some nice images that he brought to the library for us. Okay? All right. Thank you, sir, for coming, and thank you, Rich, for bringing this to us.
Welcome, everybody. So, let's go back to the beginning, 1933. June 6, 1933, so 90th anniversary is coming up for the birth of the drive-in theater. And Richard Hollingshead Jr. in Camden, New Jersey, he had an idea because his wife was a very tall woman. And she, I don't know if you guys have ever been to like the Akron Civic Theater there, it's not much leg room. Theaters back then didn't have much leg room. He's like, well, maybe we could build an outdoor theater that we could have people come and watch movies in cars. So he bought a projector, he put it on top of his car, put a big sheet of canvas up between 2 trees, was showing a movie, and it's like, wow, it looks pretty good, but what if it rains? So he took a garden hose and sprinkled some water in front of it, and you could see through. Well, that's pretty good. Well, what if it fogs? So they blew some smoke, and not very good. Can't see through fog that well. Okay, so 1933, the Auto Theater, Camden, New Jersey, which isn't there anymore, opens up. A year later, a lot of drive-ins are opening, but the second drive-in, Shankweiler's, opens up in Orfield, Pennsylvania. And Orfield, Pennsylvania is near Bethlehem, and it's still around, and that's the oldest continuously running drive-in theater in America, and since it was invented in America, in the world. So later on in the 30s, we have a lot of things going on, drive-ins opening up, and the Boyer opens up. There's a lot of stuff. Let's figure out how to advance this. There we go. We have an opening night here. This is the earliest ad that we could find, was May 27th, 1939. There was a lot of things still going on in 1937 that our friend will tell us about here. But let's see. Youth Takes a Fling. Has anybody seen that movie? Sunday night's picture. You can't take it with you. An outdoor theater, first of its kind south of Cleveland, north of Strasburg at the intersection of routes, 21 and 250. That's exactly where we still are. Drive right in. See leading, talking movies while sitting in your auto. It's great. So, let's see. You gotta get the cursor right on there. Not gonna go. So here we are. So there's a lot of things going on here. We have a restaurant, special root beer. There's the entranceway here, and we're gonna have a better picture of the entranceway. But there was movie posters on each one of these, and they changed the movies 3 times a week. And we have a special guest here that's going to tell us about the early days of the Boyer. It was just the Auto Theater, but then, there was a lot of auto theaters, so they called it the Boyer Auto Theater. Here's the entrance here. So can you see, we have like Wednesday and Thursday, Friday and Saturday. Yeah, Gene Autry. I think I went one more. Let's see. Let's go back one more. Roy Rogers, Earl Flynn. Well, here's the golf range, and the Himes family that owns Magic Hobbies, they, you know, just north of us, they said that they can still find golf balls up by the railroad bed. There must have been, I don't know, thousands of golf balls. I see we have somebody, it must have been a hot day, we have a shirtless person here. Oops, too far. There's, oh, there's the restaurant here.
Wanna go backwards?
Yeah. Oh, you do that? Like that? I just learned something new. So we have a special guest, Judy Lynn, that the Lynn is named after. Right here. And I didn't know if you wanted to remain seated or come up here and tell us about the early days, because I was born in 1965, and this is a little bit before my time.
As long as you don't insist that I tell you about Boyers, because I wasn't born yet.
Okay. Well, let's move a couple of pictures here. Okay.
Backtrack.
Backtrack. Well, there's the golf range.
All right, so he said that you're still finding golf balls, but I was the one that was picking them up. I must have missed some.
It must have been this big kid that came so far.
Probably. We had a shelter there. That doesn't show the shelter, but there was a
No.
shelter and tables.
We do have some pictures though that we're gonna be able to, everybody's gonna be able to see.
Okay.
Let's
Okay.
see, here's the restaurant.
There, the restaurant, that was a drive-in restaurant, and the cars would park out here, and we had car hops, and we had seating on the inside as well, so there was a row of bar stools in there, and a little aisle between the windows and the bar stools, and then there was a long counter, and then prep area. Behind that, didn't you have one before that that showed?
Let's see. You mean,
There, behind. This right here. That was a log cabin, a for real log cabin. And we lived there for about 2 years when we first bought the theater. So that was my only time to ride a school bus.
and your family, what, 1951?
No, wasn't it 47?
No, 47.
Wait a minute. Count. Maybe 49. Back there someplace. So Boyers had it, then we had it, and then whenever I was about to graduate from high school, his dad came along and took my place, and I went off to school, and he stayed there and kept this going, and I'm so glad, because this is a treasure. If you don't go, you should. It is a treasure. Okay, so
Yeah, let's,
the entranceway stayed pretty much the same.
Oh.
Trimmings for it changed.
There's one thing. I was told there was a little pond here,
Yeah.
and they kept on filling it in. And when did they?
We didn't fill it in, well, ultimately it did.
Well, somebody
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
Because now, a septic tank is there.
Oh, how awful. There was a rock garden, and I wondered if this is, no, those are flowers. There was a rock garden right in here, and then right in front of the rock garden, there was a nice little pool. And then, this is before the skee ball alley evidently.
Okay.
And then the skee ball alley was put in right here. And that was there.
And then there's miniature golf.
Miniature golf, no, let me think. No, We didn't have any miniature golf. No, no.
Okay.
Did you have a picture of one? Maybe I forgot.
There was a picture of the Creators popcorn wagon that had, it looked like a miniature golf course. Does anybody remember miniature golf?
Nah. No, there was another rock garden over there on the other side of the gas station.
You can hit golf balls around there. There's an ad here that I don't think was involved with the players there. It says French fry grab.
We didn't do that.
Southside nightclub. Does anybody remember the Southside nightclub in Oakley? Let's go. Okay.
Now, there's someone here that knows about that picture. It's down here. But you said you don't remember the names.
No, I've got the actual photograph, if I can find it, that has the names and the date when it was taken in the back of it, so I'm still hunting for it.
Well, I don't remember, I mean, I don't recognize any of those people. But the thing is, there's a building there that I don't recognize.
Was that
This right here.
a gas station?
That's where the gas station was, but
Okay.
that doesn't look like a gas station. And see, the restaurant's right there, and that's where the gas station was, but that doesn't look like a gas station. So I don't know what that building was.
And did you notice this is, we have a lot of 2x4s?
The screen was
The screen.
constructed by, 2x4s. And there was a ladder that was 2x4 ladders that was up against the flat part of the back screen. And somebody we know managed to climb up to the top of the screen. Well, the thing is that the steps were there. And on top of that, when television came into play, my dad, in the middle of winter, I think it was in 1950, and we had all that bad snow, he went up that ladder, walked across that icy top, and erected an antenna so we could have television. That was our first television.
Now, eventually CinemaScope came along there where they went from having a square picture to a rectangle picture, and you had to add 18 feet to each side of that screen. Do you
That's
know-
when it went from 2x4s to being a covered structure, and it got larger in that process.
Do you think that they added kind of wings though for the wind?
No,
No? So,
no, just for show.
this is a show. Okay, Judy, who's in this picture here? I can name a few.
That's me, that's your dad,
And my dad
that's
is,
my mom, that's my dad, that's your granddad, that's your grandmom.
now over on the left, that's Andy Thompson. Does
Down there?
anybody here remember Andy Thompson?
Oh. He got me a puppy, my dad gave him him.
Andy always had pets. He had dogs. Do you remember his parrot? Andy had a parrot.
No, I don't remember his parent. But he was a nice guy, he knew lots of stuff.
Yeah. Here's a little story about Andy Thompson. He helped build the drive-in, but he helped build a famous projection room for the Shawshank Redemption over at the Mansfield prison. And when they were making the movie, they were looking for a projector and to mock up a projection room, and somebody gave him his name. So he had so much projector equipment,
Experience
and he
equipment,
just
yeah.
put them all in his van and drove up there and built a projection room, and that's what they used in that movie. Yeah. When he passed away, he had all these baby food jars full of nuts and bolts for projectors. These 35mm projectors. It was
That must be
incredible.
why my dad had jars everywhere.
Yeah, yeah, oil.
Everything,
Yes,
parts and pieces.
yeah, that's a really good picture of you. Okay, who's this?
I don't know. Do you know?
I know Dad. I know Grandpa and Grandma.
And my parents and me.
Okay, what was your parents' names?
Ray and Wilma McCombs. And I don't know that.
Does anybody know who this is? Boyfriend at the time?
Not me. One is one.
So, okay, so, if the Reddings bought the theater in 57, what year do you think this is?
Well, probably that same year.
The same year.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I looked at something.
I have a picture of Grandpa on a riding mower, and he looks so happy.
Was it air conditioned?
It was air conditioned. I have an air conditioned golf cart too. So here's the first ad we could find for the Lynn. But Judy, why don't you tell a couple more stories there about the 50s and very.
Well,
and the,
now that looks like a poster. And we had, don't you think that's a poster? Maybe not.
I think it was a picture of a picture from a newspaper.
From a newspaper.
And
We
you
had
see it says
posters.
formerly Boyers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when my grandpa, when
Oh,
he
yeah,
bought.
it's a paper.
Yeah, see, this is when you guys bought it.
Right.
And, they said to my grandpa, they go, well, you gonna keep it the Lynn? And he said, yeah, because it's the Lynn formerly the Boyers, we don't want it the Lynn formerly the, you know, the Reading, you know, stuff. It was just Lynn Auto Theater.
Yeah. Well, when we first got it, well, soon after, we started doing these big cardboard posters. And so we'd take them around, and my dad had a route and my granddad had a route. Well, I always went with my granddad. He was nice. So, anyway, we took them around and put those posters in different businesses' windows all over the county. And one of the places that my granddad went was to a bar. And I said, I've never been in a bar. I was about 3rd grade, and he said, well, come on. So we just went on in. He took good care of me. And then we also had little handbills. And they printed them, and then you had to fold them. So I used to sit on the porch swing, fold, fold, fold all afternoon. And then those got, you know, whenever you went through the ticket window thing, you got those handed out to you. So it was all the coming attractions. And there's a picture of one of those in some of the stuff that I brought.
I don't know if we have a picture of the, oh, no, that's Grandpa there. We have a picture, that's the screen, yeah. We had a picture of something, oh, but this is,
That's a newspaper also.
yeah.
Yeah.
What's that back now? Is that me, Rotten Reagan?
That's the wrong word.
Oh, yeah, there he is.
Yeah. They misspelled his
It
name though.
doesn't say the, it says with.
Yeah, with Ruth Hussey,
Yeah.
short features. So, can you tell them, like the lineup, they showed, what, newsreels?
Yeah, we had newsreels, and then we had cartoons, and then, you know, there's always that break, so you'll go buy some stuff. And then the feature, and we normally had 2 features, so, and we did first runs, most always. So you could have, you know, plenty of time between the shows and between the cartoons, and, yeah, come buy stuff, you know, popcorn.
Yeah.
We made our own root beer, and that was fun. My dad kept the recipe in his wallet, I think to the day he died, and I said, give me that wallet, and I never got the recipe. I'm very sad. It was special, and it was from Boyers. They had been making it, and they gave him they sold him the recipe. They did not give it.
Wow.
Yeah, it was good root beer. So, we changed shows we did Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday and Saturday. So that was the rotation. I know that word.
Yeah.
Open every day.
And they had the projection room was not the one that we have now. It was up closer to the front row.
Uh-huh, it was right there under the screen, underground. Just a little bit of it stuck up, just enough that you could have a peephole up there. And at the base of the screen, there was a stage, and right at the bottom of the white part. And so we had different famous people come and do shows on the stage. So that was fun. Somebody here said, well, they know when Sunset Carson came. And I said, me too. She said, the horse stepped on her foot. The horse and I were friends, let me tell you. The horse and I took a little jaunt down the rows while my parents were talking to Sunset and his groomer, Whitey. And the horse was a trick horse, of course. And so there we are, having a fine time. I mean, I just climbed on him, he had nothing on. And so then he decided to say his prayers, and I should have been saying mine, because I went shoo. Yeah, that was fun.
After Cactus stepped on my foot, Sunset Carson photographed a picture for me himself, so I had that at home too.
Please don't sue me, just take my picture. Yeah, I don't think they sued people then.
Were there any other shows with like?
Yeah, there were a lot of them. I don't remember any of the other names, but there were a lot of named people. Sunset was in a lot of the, like, grade B cowboy movies. So for a long time, I would see him on television, but no more.
I can remember when they would have, I don't remember any of the names, but they would have like the country western singers and that.
Yeah.
There was always one girl that she wore a red outfit, like, and she had big feathers on her hat. She didn't sing, but I have no idea, no recollection.
Yeah, I don't know any of the other names, but there were a lot of named people that came.
Now, did they perform until the movie started, or was this the main feature?
Oh, no,
itself?
that was before the show started.
Before the show.
You know, it wasn't dark yet. Yeah,
So, wow, that is amazing.
that's fun. Yeah.
Did you have popcorn?
Did we get to the popcorn wagon yet?
Oh, yeah.
Of course we had
No.
popcorn.
No.
Once in a while, I manned the popcorn wagon. There was nothing to give to the customers. Lots of butter, too.
Here's a picture of the second marquee, correct? Because the first one would have been the entranceway. And so, when was this, do you remember when this marquee was put up? Okay,
Probably mid-50s.
we just had somebody spy a playground here.
Yeah.
Now, this is not the Lynn or the Boyer. Where is this theater at? Does anybody know? That's the Twilight.
And because
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, because we own the Twilight also.
they had the Twilight before they came to the Lynn. So they already were ready to go.
Ready as ever, and the Twilight closed in 1985, unfortunately, and we didn't own the land, so now it's the drive to the police station and the county jail and Warren Manufacturing. So, but if you get off the Schönbrunn exit and you look over to your left, you can still kind of see some mounds.
Yep.
Now,
Now, here's what happened to the original screen, Judy.
and I didn't see that. I was in Columbus. I was at Ohio State and I didn't know.
OH.
Yep. OHI.
So this is my grandmother, Eunice Abbey Redding. So, Judy, do you think that the skee ball and everything was still in there when that happened?
Well,
So this was probably an F1 or an F0 tornado in 1960.
I would guess that probably so, because it was right over here. And I would guess that that probably is true. And
So,
then that's when it would have gone.
as with all drive-in theaters, wind is our enemy.
Yeah.
Am I in the way?
No, you're not in the way. Here's another picture here. Can you see, so Judy, did your family, they enclose all this here after?
The screen?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, whenever it was enlarged, it was enclosed.
That must have took a long time to clean up. So here's an aerial view of probably 1980, because the second screen was put in, and, well, it could be the late 70s, because the second screen was put in 76. So this screen here, that's a Gary Selby screen tower, and Selby Screen Towers was from Richfield, Ohio, where the Coliseum was. And so that was put up. And Selby Screen Towers, very popular company, and a lot of drive-ins use their screens. I guess it's rated for at least 100 mile/hour winds, but once there's debris involved, then, you know, you have to change that equation.
When did the concession stand get built?
Yeah,
The
when-
one on the grounds, around 1950. That's when the projection booth underground went away, and the projection booth was put in with the concession stand.
Judy, do you remember 3D?
Absolutely, the House of Wax.
House
The
of Wax?
paddle and the ball came out and I jumped.
So those were red and blue lenses? Mhm.
I still have some of those glasses.
Mhm. Do you remember Smell-O-Vision? They gave you these little cards. They were little cards, and they were scratch and sniff. So like they would come out, you know, and somebody was eating a hot dog in the movie, and you'd scratch that and sniff it and smell like
Oh
mustard.
my gosh.
I remember when they said they put all those things in the commercials so that we'd want to buy things.
Oh, the subliminal messages where they show like a popcorn.
Yeah.
Yes.
They
I kept
ever
watching.
have,
Ronald Reagan, but it's spelled wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, now.
I think they misspelled it.
Yeah. They can spell Phyllis Kirk.
Third question.
Very.
did they ever have these?
Did you
No.
use heaters?
No heaters. We changed, when we got the theater, there were big towers, big silver towers along the sides, the entrance and the exit. Oh, you want to do that?
Yeah.
And they had some rocket-like thing on the top of the tower, and that was to project the sound. And so then we dug up all the dirt, made the mounds, put in the speaker posts, that he's brought a couple of them here. And then you put the speaker in your car. But before that, it was just, it's about what you heard too.
So the land was flat when you guys bought it, and then you put the mounds in.
And one of the most exciting things about that, when they plowed up all that stuff, that was evidently an Indian war space, because it was filled with arrowheads.
Wow.
Filled.
That's amazing.
And somehow they all disappeared, and I don't know where they were, because I collected them.
Hmm. Here's another marquee down. You can see that the Selby Screen Tower is in need of paint here in 1993. You can almost see the logo here, the Lynn logo, and it used to have a moon and a star on there. And that's, that box office there is, we went through a lot of box offices. That's probably the third or fourth. We have a new one now, that's where Darla works.
We did. Is that the red one?
Oh, is it? Yeah, it's new though.
We
It's
made
only-
sure it was red.
Yeah.
Now, here's my my dad, Rick, and my son, excuse me,
Your son.
my brother, Jamie. My brother, Jamie, he was a real projectionist, 35 millimeter projectionist there. So these are Simplex XLs with Brinker lamp houses, and they were carbon arc conversions. Do you remember the carbon arc projectors and the 2 carbons
I had
would
to
burn.
stand there and wait so I could do the whatever you had to do. I also spliced film on a regular basis. We had a table where you had to fix when it broke. Remember, oh, it went black, well, broke. Grab it, take it over, splice it, put it back on, crank up the carbons, get it going.
Do you guys remember the cue marks? It would be in the upper right-hand corner, and you would see that, and that told the projectionist it was time to change. The reel was running out, and then another cue mark would come up, and then they would switch, they would change over.
Yep.
Yeah. And Andy Thompson, he was our union projectionist, and so Larry, he was the apprentice. Larry, you were the apprentice. Can you tell us about the time that Andy, he showed up late to work?
He wanted to see if I'd start up. Holmes is raised pain because it's dark. You know, Andy's outside laughing and everything else. He just wanted to see if I would start everything up.
He had to wait for the union projectionist to start the movie. And finally he came in, he said, "Is everything threaded up?" And he said, "Yep." And he went over and flipped the switch.
It was gone.
Andy was funny.
I don't think my dad got that.
Funny thing about Simplex, as long as you put oil into them, they kept on going, and you'd have like a little bucket underneath, and the oil would drip out of there every once in a while. So yeah, they switched over to xenon gas lamps, and that's what we still use, xenon gas lamps in our digital projectors now. Okay, does everybody know this song?
Let's all go.
Let's all go to the Here's our 1962 popcorn popper. It's a Creeders, and it's really cool that we had a Creeders popcorn wagon, and we had a Creeders popcorn popper that was older than me. I'm a 1965 model, and this is a 1962. And this spring, we decided to get a new Creeders and put a new kettle on there. So generations from now, they'll still be talking about it. Like, I remember when that went in 2000 and, was it 23? Now, Judy, do you know anything about
No, that's why we had those parking boys, so that they didn't do that. I know somebody that says, "Oh, yes, they did."
They did.
They did.
We did.
It's all right, they were out there patrolling, watching for them.
You know, charging by the carload foils that, and, you know, trucks aren't that big anymore.
Yeah, there's no place to hide.
Larry, did you ever catch anybody sneaking in? No? Did anybody?
I wasn't there. I mean, as far as the
Oh, Gallardi. There's more marquee damage there. Okay, so here's our Selby screen tower being painted. And our second screen is just telephone poles, galvanized steel, and 2x6s. Galvanized steel is an unusual facing that works extremely well. You would think that you'd want a flat surface, but the way it is, you know, it's not just for strength. It looks really good, and a lot of drive-in theaters use the galvanized, well, the corrugated steel. They use corrugated steel. Yeah. This is where Darla, my lovely wife, works, right here in the box office. Did you work, and Becky? Yes. Judy, did you ever work the box office?
Oh, yeah, my granddad manned that, and then I would, of course, go and hang out with him, because he was good to me. He also manned the drive-in range, so I went over there. That was good. We also had a shooting gallery, and I don't have any pictures of the shooting gallery, and I don't see that you do. But there was a
Was it real guns? Like 22?
air rifles.
Air rifles, okay.
Yeah, and I had to go set up all those things, and they went on that, you know, they went around. And so, since I had no customers,
Like a duck?
yeah, the ducks and the, yeah,
Uh-huh.
they did that track. So I had to make sure they were all set up, so I would set them up, go shoot them all down, go set them all up. You don't have any customers, what are you gonna do, stand and shoot all day?
Pretty good.
Works for me.
Yeah.
And we also had in the, and I don't know the name of it, in the skee ball alley, there was a little section in front, and it had those things that they think are antiques. You look through the thing, and the pictures, they were like
yeah.
picture postcards.
Oh.
No, not Viewmasters, this is old.
Yeah.
Stereo views.
Very,
They
yeah.
spot.
No, they were in a holder, and they,
Yeah.
Yeah, stereo
no, they
views.
didn't, they were like postcards,
Yeah.
but they didn't go around. They could do this. Yeah, what is it? I think that might be the right word.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were really nice, and I don't know what happened to any of that, and boy, would I like to have it now. Yeah, so that was there. You're going forward, I'm gonna sit down. Well,
Okay.
you're going forward. I have my job.
Maybe we should pass these around?
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah. Judy brought these incredible pictures here that we're gonna pass around, okay?
The ones that are in color are from about 1950.
Maybe what we'll do is we'll take a couple like that. We'll take like maybe, or do we want it? We need a school teacher to show us how.
Yeah, let me imagine.
Pass it around. Thank you. What kind of car is that?
It's a Woody. Woody. It had wooden sides.
Yeah, and there's a Jeep, the
Jeep.
Willie's Jeep.
It's a World War II Jeep.
You little kitty in one of those pictures. Is that your kitty?
Well, yeah, we had lots of cats. My grandmother liked cats.
Oh.
We still have cats.
We did. I think you left them. I promise. Probably several generations.
Did you get any horse and buggy?
No, but we did have pony rides back at the backside of the driving range for a while. My dad said he wasn't gonna take care of any horses, so we had to give that up. I liked it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and say it.
You remember when they used to,
It's okay.
people come in to watch the movies on a hay wagon?
Yeah, every once in a while people.
My father, was in the late 40s and early 50s, they come up from Canton Township. A whole bunch of the kids, teenagers would come up here,
Yeah,
come out and watch the
and
movies.
trucks, they'd come.
Yeah, they pull with the truck with the hay wagon on the
Yeah,
back.
Yeah, we have a lot of trucks now. The station wagon has been replaced by big trucks and minivans.
yeah.
You know, and they can come see how we, everybody, now they don't sit in their car. They picnic outside. So you need, we have FM simulcast. And so a lot of people bring a boom box or a jam box and a portable FM radio. And they can blast the movie. And sometimes the movie is so loud that we have to actually ask them to turn it down a little bit, or else the other field can't hear their movie. Yeah, and we never had that problem with speakers. You know, we still have the speakers on the poles on a lot of the good places there, and then the back is FM radio only. And so back then, if you didn't have a speaker, you didn't have a spot.
Right.
But now with the FM radio, you know, you can fit it more in.
Now, right in front of the projection booth, there used to be a whole bunch of wooden benches. And I still have one of those benches. They were well made. And so people could get out of their cars and go and sit down. For today, they bring their own, then they just got out of their cars and went and sat in the benches.
Now, Judy, here you see like the access to the women's room. You used
They're
to be-
gonna have a hard time getting in there.
You have to go inside. And it used to be there was an access window, you know, for the
Right.
concession stand.
Right.
But, you know, we sealed that up.
Well, that changed.
Okay, this is a projected sound speaker here. This was a company, and that's an RCA. We got a lot of speakers from drive-ins that were closing, especially up in Canton, the East 30. Does anybody remember the East 30 and the Stark? Yeah, so they would sell the speakers, you know, like the whole lot for $100. So, yeah.
What's the maximum number of cars you can get?
So this field here, screen 2, is about 140, and then in screen 1 is about 250, and that's pretty tight. Yeah.
And most drive-ins today, if you go to a drive-in or visit a drive-in, most of them do not have speakers at all. They just have a pole, some of them don't even have a pole. It's very rare that you come upon a drive-in that still has speakers. Our speakers are still working, but the sound is so much better on your car radio because the technology of the speaker is not there.
It's in stereo. Here, you put those two speakers together and you get double mono. Yeah, it's very lo-fi, but a lot of people use them, you know, so the grass is nice and green. It must have been raining that week
It's a
before.
beautiful one.
So, the spring of 2020, a lot of things happened. Not that good, but we survived. And to start off 2020, half of our screen 2 blew down. Darla and I, we were in bed and we heard the storm go through and it lasted maybe about an hour. And we said, wow, that wasn't bad. Got up in the morning and we're like, I can't believe it. Right in the middle. It's amazing. So we decided to, we repaired it instead of totally replaced it. There's my golf cart there that has the air conditioning. Here we are. The pandemic was starting and we had to close down and we weren't allowed to open until May 15th. So we had a little bit of time. But since the pandemic started, there was, it was hard to get the corrugated steel for Union Steel down in North Carolina. And we are putting it all together. It seemed like every time that we got into the lift, there was rain and wind. So, there's 22 drive-ins in Ohio, and we weren't allowed to open during the pandemic. So we're like, we're emailing our congressman, we're like, hey, you know, we're just kind of like a gas station. We can, people come in, they buy snacks, they go out, but instead of people pumping gas out there, they're watching a movie. And they said, well, we're not trying to open anybody right now. We want to keep everybody closed. You guys are movie theaters. So we're like, okay, what are we gonna do? And then word got around that high school graduation could be almost saved by videoing the graduates getting their diplomas, and we'll put it all together in a package and we'll be able to show it on the big screen. Well, that got on the news, and then they said, hey, we'll give the drive-ins in Ohio an exemption, and we were able to open. So we got our concession stand all set. We had one way in, one way out. We had a magical plexiglass screen by the cash register, just like everybody else. And we had the health department there making sure we were compliant. And they said, all right, a drive-in is going to save the movie industry. And we said, well, there's not going to be any new movies. Why is there not going to be no new movies? Well, because they're not going to release new movies just for, there's about 320 drive-ins in America, you know. So we said, okay, let's show classics like Smokey and the Bandit and Goonies and Jaws. And so we had a whole bunch of new people discovering the drive-in coming that were like, oh, this is something new. We had a lot of still regulars, but they were discovering the drive-in all over again. And it was an amazing, you know, that was something that, you know, we were able to do. And so the beginning of 2021, Awakening Events, they're a Christian rock promoter, and they said, hey, we can't show concerts anywhere, but we could show them at the drive-in that's naturally socially distanced. We even had the Channel 8 News come down, and they showed me measuring, you know, between the poles how socially distanced.
Oh, boy.
So they were some big name Christian rock acts, Zach Williams, Mac Powell from Third Day, and Kane. And we thought they were going to play up on, well, they did play up on the stage, but we didn't think anybody was going to be able to hear them. And as soon as the sound check went out, we're like, oh my God, it's really loud. We're not going to need the FM. We're going to do it so people could hear on the FM. So you can see that that is Zach Williams there, right there. So it went without a hitch, and the weather was perfect, right? No. It rained, and we had a lightning delay, but everybody had a great time.
Nobody left.
We were worried because it was so loud that the police were gonna say something, and the sheriff, Campbell, was there, and they were having a great time. They were like, wow, this is great. Nobody complained. The neighbors were like, oh geez, and they called me up, oh, that sounds great. We were gonna get it on our FM radio, but it's like, it sounds great. Everybody loved it. And Darla was out by the entranceway, and Mac Powell pulled up, and he said,
I gotta get a picture of that marquee.
he wanted to get a picture of his name up on the marquee. Last year, we showed Elvis. Did anybody see the movie Elvis? I thought it was pretty good. It was real good. Me and Elvis hung out every night. And here's a picture of me and Elvis. Our friend Al, he came by on my air-conditioned golf cart here. So like we were saying, most people now, they come in their pickup trucks and turn them around so they can watch into bed. And you really need a portable FM radio to do that unless you really turn it up in your cab. And it's minivans. It's very rarely we see a station wagon now. Now, was it a lot of station wagons back
A lot of
then?
station wagons.
Oh,
Cram all the kids in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so,
Yeah. We used to have a couple of station wagons.
well, they were so popular then.
Yeah.
And that's not so much that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now, this truck here, Darla has a story there about the most people that ever showed up in the back of a pickup truck. Can they hear you?
I work in the box office, and we charge per person, at $7 per person, children 5 to 11, for $3. So one day I'm working, and this pickup truck pulls up, and it's all Mennonite girls, 17 of them.
17.
So
And
then
if we
the
would have
truck-
charged by the carload, we would have missed out on
Yeah.
that.
So the truck goes in, and then I have a long line of Mennonite boys.
we have a lot of Mennonite teens that come for the second features a lot. There's just nothing to do. And since we're open, you know, on Sundays too, you know.
Oh, my God.
It looks like that pole was hit recently there, and we dropped it back up.
So that's screen,
Well, that,
this is screen one.
screen one there, but they're watching screen two.
Yeah.
Mm.
When did you get the second screen?
The Linhart family, we were trying to think of that. I thought it was 78, but they say that, their son worked on it in 76. And then Chet Heckathorn and the Heckathorns that worked there brought in a whole bunch of dirt and helped with the mounds. Because it's, you can't really see the mounds right there. The first 3 rows, we do have ramps. And you need the ramps because the screens are so tall. But you need the screens to be tall so people can see over the other cars. We've been to other drive-ins where the screens are low and nobody can put their hatch up or anything. So on Sundays, about 10 years ago, well, 2014, we started a flea market there, and it's extremely early in the morning, and at 6 a.m. to 1 p.m. And people, the first couple of years, it started out kind of slow, and now it's really taken off. Did you guys ever try a flea market? Yeah, it's people just love the flea market, and it's only $10 to set up, but for the longest time it was only $5 to set up. So they set up in between the speaker poles. So here's a good shot of the front here with the marquee, and you see it's getting near showtime here. I failed to include a couple pictures of our digital projectors. We went digital, our first projector in screen one in 2013, and it was kind of difficult there to get financing for it, and we took out 2 equipment loans. And then, so 2013, we were showing digital on screen one and film in the back, and customers could come in and see, wow, the new and the old. And in 2013, we were trying to win a projector, and Honda had this project drive-in that we were trying to win, and it was mostly like people would vote for us through Facebook, and we weren't that Facebook savvy. So we didn't win a projector, but in the spring of 2014, the bank that didn't give us a loan originally, they knocked on our door, and I said, hi guys, well, hi Carl, I don't have a loan with you guys, what's up? And they said, well, we voted for you, but you didn't, I'm sorry. We're gonna give you that loan for the second projector, which was a much better loan. It was, the equipment loan for the other one there was very high interest and stuff. So, hold on there for a sec. We talked about the reels of film, the 35mm film. Now, the movies come in on a hard drive, and everything comes in. There's different versions. There's the 3D version, which we don't show in 3D because I think we're novelty enough. There was one drive-in in Texas that tried 3D, and they did it for a couple months. There must be a reason why no other drive-ins are doing 3D. I think it's because you have to be kind of close there, and you get back in the back, and you know, and then you have a guy in the exit way, I can imagine, is trying to collect the glasses back. And people were probably just so we have all kinds of different versions on here. We do the 5-in-1 sound and the 2D version. I could pass this around if you guys want. It kind of looks like a VHS tape, doesn't it? Which is, you know, VHS, we always, you know, when VHS came out, we kind of had to compete against that. But that was still, you know, people at home. HBO was always, you know, and Cinemax and everything, you know, those were, I guess, our competition when people bought, you know, they bought a subscription to HBO, they said, well, we better stay home, you know? So,
I can tell you, the film used to come in metal canisters that you could hardly pick up off the ground.
yeah, and 20-minute reels.
Yeah. I still have some of those at home.
Mhm.
Yeah, but the
Used to take
canisters
it.
were huge.
And you'd build them up on bigger reels, so you wouldn't have to change over as much. You'd put them, the 20-minute reels onto 1 hour.
Yeah, we had 1 hour reels.
Mhm.
They came with the big wheels, big, that kind of size wheels.
But back then with the carbon arcs, if the carbon went,
Right.
but then you got the extra long
Keep on
burning
changing.
card, yeah, you
Switch
keep on
things.
changing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because we had about an hour.
And then those carbons would flicker, and that's where the term flip comes from. And you go see a flip, the carbon arcs.
They were fun.
Yeah. And then when it changed over to xenon gas lamps, and that's what we still use. And now the new thing in cinema is the laser projectors. And the lasers, if we ever get, we could take and retrofit a laser into our lamp house, and we could start it a little bit earlier, but, you know, it's not that much, but we couldn't show a matinee and stuff. We do have people ask us, is like, can't you show the movies a little bit earlier for our kids? They can't, you know. And I think the solution would be, so, I know it looks like the end of our slideshow, but really it's just the beginning. And every night at dusk, it's the beginning.
With
And-
all these beautiful sunsets.
Yes, oh yes, and then you get one sunset, and then the customers, they're like, we want a sunset like that every night.
Oh, yeah, right.
Okay. But we'd like to open it up for some, for questions.
How do you request your movies, or are they automatically?
That's a great question, how we book our movies.
How do you get the ones you want? Is there a list, or?
And in the old days, they used to have a salesman come around and book for the whole year. And now, it's a little more complicated than that, and our movies don't get confirmed. Like, our movies were confirmed for Guardians of the Galaxy that we're opening up Friday. That was finally confirmed on Monday before the Friday. So that's why we can't put a whole summer slate on there. So the studios have sales staff, and you contact them, and then they say, okay, you know, say like Disney, and they're like, okay, Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's gonna be 60% with a second feature, Ant-Man, okay? And they're pretty firm on that. Now, another company like Warner Brothers, we just got done playing Evil Dead, and the first week was, we paid 50%. And then we had room to go out and get 65 from Sony. And we don't like to pay over 60% for our box office. So you try to get the newest movie possible for about 60%, and each studio has their sales staff. And a lot of theaters have a film buyer that we go through, a company there that guarantees the studio that they can sell so many prints or movies. So then, you know, if you can get involved with a film buyer and book your movies through them, you can get a better deal. So what I'm talking about with percentages, okay, so the first week, 60, second week, 50, 40, sometimes they'll do 35 instead of 30, and then it goes down. So during the pandemic, when we were showing classics, we were getting old movies, but we were only paying 10, 15%. And we're like, wow, we're not getting as many people, but we're paying, the box office, we're paying less. And it was, so we were like, we were always taught, you gotta play new movies or else they're not gonna come. But then all the rules changed and stuff. Now, there was a period of time where the Lynn and a lot of drive-ins were getting B movies, and then we would have to wait for the Disney movies. We'd wait at least like sometimes 4 months to get them. And in '95, we went back to running first run because the studio said, well, we have this window, we're gonna release the movie, and then 9 or 11 months later, it's gonna go to home video, VHS. Now, the window is shrank, and it's almost non-existent now because you have streaming. So now, a lot of times you're opening up a movie, and the studio is almost ruining their front end because they don't have that theatrical window. And they're learning a lot of lessons that they're losing money doing that. So now they're starting, the theatrical window is starting to get bigger, but it's only like a month now before the studios come out and start streaming. They've invested in like Disney Plus and Paramount Plus and HBO Max and stuff. They've invested so much in television that they feel that they have to have product for it. And we have to convince the studios that people still want to go out and watch movies, whether it's inside or outside, and that it's financially in their favor to do that. So.
How do they deliver them to you?
Oh, these come in.
Not by the US mail.
No, it's UPS. It's kind of neat. Oh, and now they have satellite delivery for the multiplexes. But since we only have 2 screens. So we have this label here from UPS, and then when it's time to return it, you turn it off, and then you get into the UPS guy and you have this phone number and you say, hey, I got a bunch of these hard drives. So, yeah. It's-
And when the movie comes in, you can't like immediately play the movie.
Yeah, we have a server that we put the hard drive in.
And then, the day that the movie's supposed to start, or a couple days before, they'll send us like an email, electronic key.
Oh.
So then we have to load the key into the projector, and then that opens it up, so we're able to see the movies.
Yeah, so they'll email that, and so on our hard drive, and then we take the thumb drive, we put it on the thumb drive, we extract it, and then take it to the projector and put it in, so it's actually like using a key. And until that key is valid, there will be a red X next to the movie, and then when it turns green. So if the key is valid until, say, like Sunday night, well, actually it'd be Monday morning at midnight, right? And you're showing the movie, it'll still play, but after the movie's over, we get the red X
All
on
your
it.
movies, or is that just an A rating or a B rating?
That's all movies. Every once in a while,
Yep.
very rarely will you get a movie that's not encrypted. We're very rarely.
Because like Guardians comes out this Friday, so it'll start release on Thursday. So we have it loaded, but we can't open it yet. Not until they send us,
You can't show it Wednesday.
no, we cannot show it
It keeps us
Wednesday.
honest, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Here he is.
I have a question for the audience. How many people here have had to get their car jumped by these fine folks? And my comment is, you guys are deserving deserve a huge round of applause for reinventing yourself,
Yeah.
decade
Yeah.
after decade after decade.
Yeah.
The COVID couldn't even kill you for that.
You know, weather tries to kill us, you know. You have to be crazy to be in a business there that relied on two things that you don't have any control over: the weather and Hollywood putting out a movie that everybody wants to see. It doesn't have to be a good movie, it has to be something that everybody wants to see, you know. And now it's like, if it's available to stream, they're not gonna go out in the bad weather, so it has to be really good weather. So, yeah, we're constantly, you know, trying, and we try to keep it looking the same, but we're always doing upgrades, you know, with the projection and the popcorn popper. But most people, they pull in, like, oh, I haven't been here in 10 years, it looks exactly the way it was when I was a kid. And we have a lot of generations that the family will show up, and they'll be coming for years, and then you won't see them. And then the next year, the son shows up, or the daughter, and they're like, hey, I got my license. You know? Okay, cool, that's great. You know, and you'll see them coming, and then they'll have a family. And then they'll grow up, and you'll see them grow up, and the same thing happens. And, you know, that's what we're in it for, is to watch those families. You know?
Hopefully some people still go on a date.
Yes,
Yeah.
we do see a lot of dates. Mhm.
Yeah, we do. It's, the one thing I've noticed is it seems like, Scream 2, Friday night is usually always a family movie. If the weather's good, we get a bunch of families. We're very family oriented, we really try to cater to families. But then it seems like Saturday night is more of date night, and then you'll get a lot of couples. But even for the animated movies, we get a lot of couples, older couples, you know, the
Yeah,
kids are
years
grown, they're
ago,
like,
people
"Our
thought,
kids are
oh,
grown
cartoons.
and
Now we
yeah.
get a lot of adult
Yeah.
couples that go to see Super
Animated
Mario
movies.
Brothers and animated movies.
Yeah.
You know, I think
Those
that
are
Americans have
really
caught on because, you know, like, well, the Japanese, the grown-ups have watched animated movies from the get-go, but yeah. Yeah, so, and Sundays are for our regulars because they know it's not busy, right?
Yeah.
And then we're open every night once school's out, and then it's no sleep until.
Does Hollywood do better some years than others?
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's not consistent, yeah. Like, when we were coming out of the pandemic, there was, like the spring, 2021, there wasn't much. And then in the fall, we had more movies. And then last year, they kind of ran out of movies in August.
We were great all summer, and then it was like the end of July, it just, I mean, like every movie theater just tanked.
Yeah.
Because they just didn't really have a lot
Jurassic.
in August for us.
Will the writer's strike bother you?
It probably will, but I think it might affect television and streaming more because they need a lot of product. And a lot of movies are, they're in, they're already in production, so hopefully they can get that taken care of. We just heard about the writer's strike now, and it's, you know, so it could affect us eventually. And Hollywood might say, well, we were gonna release these movies this year, we're gonna wait till next year, we're gonna move them just to make sure we have something for next year. So, it's a moving target.
There's a question.
Yes.
Well, I just wanted to share, I came 750 miles to see them. I was born in New Philly, my name's Kathy Slau, and I come back every 3 or 4 months to see my wonderful sister Karen Slau. But I'm an usher at the Strand Theater in Marietta, Georgia, which is a suburb of Atlanta. And I have been a volunteer usher for 6 years. And so it's in a building built in the 30s, and we have gone through some similar things that you guys have. And people have courted, I kind of the greeter, because I kind of talk.
Yeah, and the Strand's a famous theater.
The Strand Theater. And so we have had people that went there in the 30s courting, and then their kids come, and then the grandkids, and then during the pandemic, us volunteer ushers got a call, we were shown the 1920 silent film Metropolis, and we went out inside or out of the theater and told people, well, we can't show, it's just going to be a couple weeks, but we reinvented ourselves for a couple years and showed over 1,000 events, rentals, birthday parties, everything, and then we opened back up and we're going as strong as ever, but we have a nice little lobby, and then we have pictures from Ted Turner's office. Then on the second floor, we have the Luminaire Lounge, and we have a grand piano in there, and people come and just play piano for donations. And then we have a rooftop bar on the fourth floor that overlooks the square, which is like Philly or Dover, it's lit up at night. So we reinvented ourselves, and we're going stronger than ever, but people still come. It was built in the 30s, and they had a big fundraising drive in the 2000s. And we're booked throughout the year, but we relate to what you guys are talking about, because we do live performances, silent films. We have one of 3 theater organs that come up from the floor in the state of Georgia.
Oh, wow.
And we see 540.
Oh, yeah, wow. That's pretty big. So, yeah. Yeah, we were able to do some special events, like we had the Tuscarawas County Farm Bureau have their, well, it was a meeting, couple meetings there, and they made us honorary farmers for a year. Good stuff. And I was really excited because they said they were going to bring some ice cream, and they were going to have a mule bring it around. And I'm like, all right, that's pretty cool. A mule's going to bring ice cream around, right? It was a Kawasaki mule.
It was quite
exciting.
Does anybody notice the people in the dam here?
Yeah. Do you know who those people are?
We don't,
You don't know?
you don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Lori painted that. The watercolors. Is it for sale? No.
No. You've got the only print.
Ma'am, that was talking. Did you go to the Twilight when you were young, then? Down
Yeah,
Sean Bryan?
we grew up on, near, what was it, Kell Street, West Side, is that West Street, East Side, yes.
When I was a kid there, we used to have some special events there, and one of them, it was a monster show where they had like people dressed up like Dracula and the Wolfman, and they brought out a coffin, and the guy dressed as the Frankenstein monster came out, and they had a strobe light. I think they did it at intermission. It was really thrilling. I loved Universal Monsters back then, and that was exciting. And they left the coffin there, and it was in the shed for the longest time. And when I was a kid, I'm like, I'm gonna turn that into a bed. You know, it's gonna be so cool. I have a coffin for a bed. And when we finally I got old enough to do anything with it, we pulled it out of the lawnmower shed, and ants or termites had eaten it up. So it was, yeah, it was done. And then we had a wrestling there. And a busload of wrestlers came, and I remember my parents making dinner for them, and they all got along. And then, right about showtime, they got into character, and they were arch enemies. Yeah. Larry? Do you remember what the name of the drive-in in Newcomerstown was? We remember the Caddis. Okay, we own the Caddis Drive-In, and now the Caddis Drive-In, if you go to Google Earth, yeah, the cars are kind of parked like they're watching a movie. I haven't been on there in a long time, but it's an auto salvage. It's an auto salvage. Yeah, I forgot to say that. Yeah. It's an auto salvage now.
When was the last time anybody was to the drive-in? Well, I know you guys.
Last week.
Flea market.
Last
summer.
Awesome.
It's pretty much the same.
Tom Cruise movie did pretty good last year.
Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise
That-
saved
Tom
lives.
Cruise,
barely
we
made
gotta
it to
tell
the
you
door.
about Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah.
Last year, Top Gun Maverick saved Hollywood.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my goodness. So when we booked
We
Maverick,
We
and
booked Top Gun Maverick, and I told Rich, I said, we're open in the summer at Memorial Day, the week school's out, we're open 7 nights a week till the second week of August, whenever school starts. I told Rich, I said, we are booking that movie and we're keeping it for 11 weeks straight.
Yeah.
I said, that's crazy,
I said,
there's no
I don't
way.
care if it's first, second, left, we are keeping that movie. And Rick says, you're crazy. And I said, no, I'm not. We had it for 14 weeks. But you know, when we.
There was this dry spell in August and there was nothing. We're like, what are we gonna do? Well, we'll book Grease and Top Gun.
Yeah. But since we are a small drive-in compared to some of our friends that have drive-ins that hold 600-700 cars. We're very small. So we'll start the first movie and then we always have 2 features. So we have to wait till it's dark. So in the summer, it's 9:30, 9:45. So we had Jurassic World, over 2 hours long.
Yeah.
I would have 50 cars lined up out front to go in just to see Top Gun Maverick as a second feature. So I have people across the street, everywhere. And Rich would be like, I hope people leave so we can get them in. But people always leave after the first movie.
Yeah.
And if you haven't been to the drive-in, you really need to come and check it out.
Yeah.
It's very, go ahead.
Is there a drive-in convention?
There is. Well, we have a drive-in owners convention. It's in January. We're members of UDTOA, which is United Drive-In Theater Owners.
They try to call it Ditto,
Yeah.
Drive-In Theater Owners, but it's United.
We get together in January down in Kissimmee in Florida, and we do a convention. And it's neat because the drive-ins, we're not like a corporation, we're all individually owned, and we all have our own little things. Like some drive-ins, they do like have huge menus and dinners and things. Well, we're not built for that. We're a very small drive-in. And some of them, you know, sell all kinds of things, and they do all kinds of special events, and we just can't do it with our size. We're just small.
And since we're not in competition with each other,
It's nice.
to get together and we share ideas and we say, hey, you know, try this, and you know, it might work. It might have worked for me if it didn't rain.
Right.
You know, and or it has worked.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's great. And when the pandemic started, you know, we were able to have phone Zoom meetings, you know, between us and figure out what we were gonna do. Because years ago, it was like, well, there was, believe it or not, in 1957, there was 4,000 drive-ins in America, and there was about 400 in Ohio. You know, now we're down to 22. So you're like, we gotta help each other here. You know, we don't want anybody to close up. The Wintersville Drive closed up last year. They sold the real estate. The real estate is worth more than the seasonal business. Most seasonal businesses like Softies takes up the real estate of a house. We're taking up the real estate of a farm. So the land is always going to be worth more than the business. And you have flat land on a state route. You know, it's good. You know, a trucking company is that's very desirable. We used to have a farm on each side of us, cornfields on each side. Now we have trucking hubs. Judy, do you remember when the Junction Truck Stop? Here's the former Junction Truck Stop. Do you remember when that came
It was
in?
still going strong when I left,
Yeah, and
so I left in 1960.
George and Eva Lauer, they owned it when I was a child. The Zingeries, they owned the fruit market right there.
That was all real busy always.
Yeah, yeah. And then when they stopped having diesel fuel, then that was the start, because truckers wouldn't stop when there wasn't fuel.
And the road was different.
then whenever they changed the road where 21 and 250 come together, everybody just came to that intersection and had a big wreck.
If it would have been a senator's son, we would have a restaurant.
Nice program. We'll enjoy it. Thank you. It's very interesting.
Yeah, round them up.
Well, we've had a lovely evening, but it's kind of time to wrap up.
Lunch is over.
Flicker the lights. But I want to thank Rich and Darla and Judy Lynn for coming. Because I think we've had a really nice evening together, and, you know, we probably should go back to the drive-in.
Check us out.
Together,
I think
right?
I'd be surprised.
Yeah, yeah.
Are
So
you closed or 2 or 3 months out of the year now?
Yeah, we're closed November through March. We've opened up in March before. We've shown in the snow on St. Patrick's Day 2 times. And then when everybody leaves, there's green rectangles where the cars were. Yeah, so we go with April through October.
And if you're on, we advertise on Facebook. We don't really do the paper anymore, there's just not enough out there. Rich still records a message every week on the phone.
Yeah, you can call up our hotline and
What
get my
we're
voice.
showing, just call and listen.
Call it before you go to
It's mostly on
bed.
Facebook.
And listen to my voice.
Thanks, everybody.